our military recently completed its training mission in Kabul. And along with that flag lowering came a chorus of commentators, analysts, basically saying we've all but accomplished nothing in 12 years of war there. Afghans don't want us there, they say. We can't change a culture. Afghanistan is a hopeless cause. One prominent columnist even asked, was our Afghan saga useless? Useless. This made me very, very angry because every Afghan I've ever met, Afghan American, Afghan Canadian, Afghan in Afghanistan, even in the refugee camp, says the country really is better off today than it was 12 years ago. There are a lot of things going right. And that's the story nobody is telling, which is why, Dawn, I wanted to go back last year so badly. Just some background. I was on a leave of absence from the CBC at the time. And for the last 5 years since I returned from my kidnapping, my bosses at the CBC were reluctant to let me go back. And I totally understood why. My kidnapping was awful for them. They went through a lot as an organization. And it was really, really tough. And they were going to make sure that it never happened again, especially to me, but to everybody else as well. But that never stopped me from asking. I would ask in 2009, can I go back for that election? Oh, the mission, combat mission is over in 2011. Can I go back for that? Can I go back and take a look at what's happening with the training mission? The answer was always no. I understood. But I have to admit, I got pretty depressed because I'd become identified by what had happened to me. I was the reporter who was kidnapped while on assignment. And worst of all, I was pulled out as one of many reasons people said Afghanistan was hopeless. Look at, they kidnap a foreign reporter. What good is that country? And that's what hurt the most, because I'd gone to try to tell some of the stories about the good things that were going on. Yes, that summer, that refugee camp was full because it was a bad summer of fighting. A lot of people were fleeing the south to go to the north. But my second stop that day, that awful Sunday, was going to be an orphanage that was being run by Canadians, where children who had lost their parents were getting an education and having a home. That's the kind of aid that Afghans still think they need, tell me they need, and want us to sustain. We just had a National Day of Honor for the soldiers we lost there and for our sacrifices, and some will say that's enough. 158 soldiers who never came home, 1 diplomat, 2 aid workers, and 1 journalist. And not to mention millions of dollars in aid. 1.5 billion, I think, is the number, the final number. But what about the families of those we lost there? What about them? Don't we owe them something for what they sacrificed? Something to make sure that they did not die in vain? You know, last week I was in Vancouver. I met with Art Lange, Michelle Lange's father. And Michelle was the Calgary Herald reporter, Dawn's colleague, who we lost to an IED. And Art said to me, you know what, Mellissa, you have to keep talking about Afghanistan and about the good things, because Michelle wanted to tell those stories. Those were the stories she wanted to tell as well. And if no one tells them, no one will remember her. It was heartbreaking. So that's part of why I feel like I need to keep talking. Also, I've met very few soldiers who didn't believe in what we were trying to do there. My good friend, Captain Trevor Green, who you all might remember as a soldier who had his head split open with an axe when he was in Ashura. I just talked to him yesterday. We Skype once a week. We're very good friends. And he said, you have to keep talking about the good things. This was the man whose life was nearly destroyed by the Taliban. And if he won't give up on Afghanistan, why should anyone else? It is not naive to remember that development is still a process. Once in a while, it helps to tell the stories of what is going right, the good stories. To see the bigger picture, perhaps, and to seek reassurance that all of our suffering there was not in vain, because for them and for me, Afghanistan is always going to be personal.